Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome all you cool ghouls and friendly fiends to the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky, and with me as always is the maestro of mail order mysteries, the one, the only, Eddie Guevara. Eddie, what's up?
Everything's good, Joe. Everything's good around the place here. One of the things that I got to tell the folks out there is our website was kind of down for a couple of, not kind of down, but it was asking people when they come on to register. And the reason what happened is that about 3 to 4 weeks ago, we had some individual out there with nothing better to do, register like 47 different names and start posting sales stuff in our website. So our website was hacked. And so what happened is I had to do the right thing, which is try to figure out how to stop that. So what I did for the registration is I added a gotcha. That's where you see how many buses or how many hills. And I mean, it sucks. It's something I hate when I sign on to any site, but it's the only thing I can do to stop people from actually doing that. And when I did that, for some reason, I checked off by accident a thing that said only member site type of thing. So everybody who would log into houseoftheunusual.com instead of seeing the website's main page would first get a login asking you to use Facebook or Google. And it took me a while, but finally I was able to figure out what was wrong and I took it off. So now the site is working great. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making some updates on it, like add new videos and stuff instead of just the video that shows the collection. And it's going to be more like exciting videos. We do some special topics or events, and I'm going to put that in that area. This way it'll be pretty cool. Now, another video I'm actually looking to upload probably in the next 2 to 3 days is Friday. We obviously have the weekly Chuck's Corner, but we have a thing with Chuck where he actually went on a tour in a cemetery next to his house, and he went on some famous magician from the 1930s and 40s. And when the guy passed away, he had like a mail order company and stuff like that. And Chuck went on to do like a floating thing next to the tombstone. It was pretty cool. I actually enjoyed the video, and I'm going to upload that video. And, another special video there. And I'm going to be showing some of my collection now because I'm actually, as we speak, I think my last move should be this coming Monday. I'm going to rent one last truck and hopefully fit everything that's left there because it's been very monotonous. I'm not planning to do it again for a couple of years. And next time I'll probably get somebody to move it for me because I got to be honest with you. I've never knew I had so much stuff. Like, I mean, not that it's my collection was originally mail order items and, a couple of robots here and there, but that thing grew into monsters, into haunted houses, haunted railroads, whatever, ghost trains, books, every type of subject you can think, comic books. And, when you have comic books that exceed 27,000 plus, that's really a pain in the butt, And it's all basically because I used to love the ads in them. It's very hard for me to get rid of a comic book. It's just something that I hold on to. And other than that, Joe, go ahead. What's new on your side?
No, not much new over here. I've just been I'm working on a new article for Scary Monsters, which I believe the pre-order for the next one is still out or it's shipping. I'm gonna check right now. It's actually issue number 126 and it is shipping. It's the Tolkien's Evil Beasts and Mythical Monsters. So it is shipping and it will be out in the bookstores very soon. That's issue number 126. So I'm working on a article for, I think it's issue 128 right now. I've just started. Been doing a lot of reading on some different subjects and all that, still with my classic monster stuff, trying to get caught up on the pile of magazines I have, collecting on my kitchen table. And that's basically about it. Just trying to catch up on some reading. I got a ton of books. Me and my wife are real big readers, so we have a ton of books. And I'm one of those people where I like to have one or two books while I'm reading, and 10 other ones waiting on the side. So I have a nice option to choose from depending on what kind of mood I'm in. So, and I was thinking too this weekend, because I'm off Fridays and Saturdays, is I wanted to take about an hour or two and read some comic books, because it's been a while since I've actually dug into my books. And like you, I've got a ton of them. I think I'm sitting somewhere around 60,000 now. At the height of my collection, because I've sold a lot over the years, I was sitting very close to 100,000.
What? Well, wait a second, Joe.
Yeah.
You're supposed to surpass me, buddy.
Yeah, I got a whole my attic, which is like they call it a third bedroom in the Cape Cod, is all comic books. And probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I was sitting very close to it, to 100,000. But I sold a ton over the years doing some shows and eBay. So I'm at about 60 or 70 right now, and I'm trying to cut down maybe about 10,000 more, 5 to 10,000 more. So one of my buddies just sent me a link that there might be a Comic-Con coming around my area, Youngstown Comic-Con. Um, I don't know if it's going to be this summer or next summer, but I'm hoping that comes back, because I'd like to set up again there and sell some of my books off for pretty cheap. And there's usually some good grabs there too. So yeah, but I it's been a while since I've went through my books, so I kind of want to just pick out a few, some superhero ones, some horror ones, and just kind of sit down and good cup of coffee and just dig into them a little bit. Um,
Let me.
what's that?
I want to ask you a question. When you say, how did you get to that amount of comic books? I mean, since you were little, you just bought them as you.
Yeah, you know what? I've been collecting since probably around 90, 91, maybe a little bit earlier. And then when I got out of the military, I really started buying a lot. I was buying every new book that came out, plus a lot of back issues. And then I was co-owner of a comic book shop for about a year, so I accumulated a lot at that time. I was buying a lot, and it's just for probably about a good solid 10 years, I was doing nothing but buying comic books, new books and back issues, just buying them like crazy.
So
And no, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say. So did you? Are they all mostly new comics or from the '70s, like me?
No, you know what? I've sold. I've actually I've purged a lot of my 2000 to present books, which when I stopped buying new books was around 2018, 2019. So it's in that time frame of the books that I've sold. But I've got everything else from, gosh, the late 20s, the platinum age of comics, to the year 2000. Most of my collection deals in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and I have quite a few from probably the 40s and 50s that are, your oddball Dell and Gold Key comic books, which I love those, those cartoon stories that come from there, the Disney ones, the Looney Tunes, and all that. So, but yeah, I've purged over the years, and I've got about 8 long boxes or so of newer books that I'd like to get rid of. And I just have to go through my stuff some more and see what else I want to get rid of, because there is some post 2000 books that I have kept, like my Green Lantern Justice League series from DC, and some Wonder Woman and Superman and Batman and stuff. So there is some stuff that I do want to keep, because I like the artwork on the covers, and the stories were great. But it's like you, Eddie. Our collection starts to overtake everything, and there's other stuff out there that I want to add to my collection, but I just need the room, and I'm looking for a lot more older stuff. So if I could cut down a lot more of my comics, then I could have the money and room to grab some of these older stuff, mostly dealing with like older horror collectibles and all that, because there's just tons of stuff out there. But it's not only buying it, but it's about the hunt too. You know how it is. We love the hunt and looking for this stuff and looking on eBay, looking at shows, Craigslist, talking to people and just trying to hunt down these awesome, pieces for our collection. So
You
that's
know,
kind of what's been going on with me lately.
yeah. The what I was going to say to you when you're saying comic books, one of the collections I believe I have every single one. I have a lot of duplicates probably in it. It's like Gru the Wanderer. That was one of my favorite comic book, and I read every one of those because they're hilarious. You know what I'm talking about, Gru?
Oh yeah, I have the whole run of that. Yeah, Sergio
Oh,
Aragones. That was
yeah,
probably one of his best series.
yeah. I'm so I guess you're the second person I met that actually has the whole run. But the thing also that I liked was Ghost Rider. After Ghost Rider was always like a cool topic, a cool comic. But when I first saw the first Ghost Rider film, I liked it so much with Nicolas Cage that I wound up looking for everything. I bought the whole run of Ghost Rider.
I really like the Ghost, all the Ghost Rider books, but really the stuff that was in the '90s, like the whole Midnight Sun series, it really got kind of like really, a lot of like horror elements to it. A lot of dealing with monsters and everything, and that's kind of where I started with the Ghost Rider, and I love that era of Ghost Rider. So
Yeah, it is really good. Now, the other thing I was looking at the other day, I found, I think it was those big boxes. If I'm correct, do they hold about 500 comics, the big ones, and 250 the small ones?
the long ones they carry, depending on the size of the book, anywhere from like 280 to 320 to 340 books.
Okay, so the long ones I found, like, I think it was 4 boxes filled with just Casper the Friendly Ghost, Richie Rich, and Spooky. I used to love Casper and Spooky the
Oh
Friendly
yes,
Ghost.
Casper is one of my favorites too.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal. I even to this day, whenever I do come across when I read them, I really like them, especially the Richie Rich ones. Now I was a big follower of Richie Rich and stuff, and I would buy it. But like I said, Casper for some reason, Spooky, and I have a lot of Sad Sacks as well. Sad Sack was another of my favorite, and Beetle Bailey, but Beetle Bailey didn't come out in comics as much as Sad Sack did. So I stayed with the Sad Sack. Now, what I was gonna say though is in my collection, one of the things I also did discover, which it's something I'm gonna need to probably talk to you about, is there was a lot of graphic novels there. I think I have the first run of the Black Knight, a couple of. Now I came across those, and why did I buy them? I don't really know why, because I only buy comics for the ads in them. So what I would do even to this day when I go to comic book stores and I start opening them from the boards and stuff, and I look through them before I purchase them, and it has to have an ad in. If I see an ad, I usually take it. Always my research was always into what this company sold, that company, because I was always in back of the monsters and stuff that were sold in mail order. I know that I counted 27,000 comics back in about 2018, 20. I mean, I since probably bought a few more thousand. I don't know. But I tend to, what I do? I go into eBay when I see those lots, like they'll have a 30 Casper the Friendly Ghost, and the lots are going for between 30, $40. I usually jump on that. So I don't know how many repeats I have. I just love old comics, and I've noticed with me, it's been very hard for me to sell old comics. But saying that, have you come across any comics that had my Fun Factory ad from '93? Do you have any in your list there?
Yeah, we talked about it, I think a few podcasts back about the one. I believe it was a Superman that I think.
That had Christmas on the cover?
Yeah, that one. So I'm sure I have whatever else in there because I have mostly complete runs of almost everything, especially if it went through the '70s, '80s, and '90s. So I'm
Okay.
sure that I have a few of those with the ads in it. But over the year, probably years ago when I read them, I probably looked at the ad and didn't think twice about it or anything or remember it. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I was gonna say Sky from Stupid Comics recently sent me one of the original 1970s ads for Fun Factory, and he wanted actually me to sign it, which was kind of funny. And what I did is I looked at some old comic that was really in bad condition, and it was very hard, even in bad condition, for me to rip out a page for it. And then I realized I had 2 or 3 of them, so I did. And then, of course, I don't like to see a comic with a rip page, so I ripped up the rest and discarded it so that I wouldn't see it. But I did cut out a few of the ads inside of it before I did. What I was going to say is I sent him that, and then I sent him one from the new run that has, I think it's 1992 for sale in January. I'm saying 93, but I think it's a 92 Christmas edition. Not Christmas, it's the 1992 January issue that went on sale on Christmas, or February issue. And every February issue from 1992 of DC Comics has my ad in it, because when you run an ad, it goes across the spectrum of every comic they publish. So my ad came out in black and white, color. It came out in quite a few of them. So, like I said, why some had black and white, some had color? I don't know, because I did submit a color ad. But I did realize that the other day I noticed they also had it in black and white when I was looking for one to send Sky. So I sent it to him and stuff. And then I sent you something. Did you want to make a comment on what you got and let me know what you think of it?
Oh, are you talking about the magic set?
That is correct, my friend. You haven't mentioned it, so
Yeah, I tell you what, it looks. Yeah, I actually was going to mention it. Was waiting for the podcast here. I thought Chuck was going to be on, but apparently he's stuck in traffic. So I wanted to mention it with him.
Actually, no. Guess what? Our friend Chuck has joined. Hi, Chuck.
Hey guys.
Hey, Chuck. There you go. What's up?
Yeah, I'm back. I just got in from the magic show. I was at a retirement home, and man, this is the first. This is pretty amazing. I actually performed behind a plate of glass, like a Lexan stand. You know what? It was an assisted living place, but it was the part where they're real, like kind of ill. You know what I mean? And so they wanted to make sure, so they willed this contraption in, and I set up my show behind it. I'll actually post a couple pictures on the forum. And you know what? This is the first I've ever done something like this. It was like pretty crazy. So my wife was with me too, and so we set up and performed the show behind a sheet of clear plexiglass. Is that crazy?
Nice.
That's nice. Hey, Chuck. Right now my hands are still shaking and my legs are shaking. When I thought, when I kept saying, "Wow, I got 27,000 plus comics. What a collection!" And then Joe comes back and tells me he's close to 100,000.
Oh,
I
my
started
goodness.
shaking. I couldn't. I'm still shaking from it.
Wow. I didn't
Well,
know that.
I at one point I did have close to 100,000. I'm sitting at maybe about 60 now, because I've sold a ton over the years, and
Oh my
I
goodness.
actually want to cut that down by about another 10,000 or so, and just keep a
Wow.
a
How
good
much of a room does that?
collection.
How much of a space does that take up, Joe? Must take up pretty much of a room, I guess, right? Or one.
Yeah, you know what? I live in the Cape Cod, so I have the attic, which is basically a third, considered a third bedroom, because
Mhm.
it's all furnished and complete. So pretty much the whole attic is where I'm actually sitting at right now, where I do the podcast. I have all my comics up there, and I have to keep it, kind of temperature controlled. So
Yeah,
mostly
right.
during the summertime, I run an air condition on the hot days 24/7. And then in
Wow.
the wintertime, fall and all that, it's very cool. So I kind of keep my door open, that way the air flows, and I have blinds on the lights so nothing comes, or on the
Isn't
window
that
so nothing
amazing?
comes
You
in.
really got to
Yeah.
take, yeah, it's almost like a cigar. You got to keep it in the proper temperature with the humidor and
That
Yeah,
everything.
and you know what? And I actually have two comic book spinner racks up here that I acquired a couple years ago. I know we've talked about them on past podcasts, but I'll try to take some pictures today and throw them
I
on
think.
the website. But it's a mess up here, but at least you'll be able to kind of see what it looks.
Wow.
It
Joe,
might look a mess to some people, but to me it's
no,
organized.
Joe, I was gonna say you should actually do a 10-minute, 15-minute special on your comic book collection, because I'm fascinated from hearing that
Yeah,
from you.
that would be cool, Joe. You really should do a video
You,
on that.
Yeah,
you may,
maybe I'll do something like that, and I could pick out, maybe
Yeah.
50 of the best books I have, and,
Do you keep
kind
each
of
of the
go through
comic
'em.
books in the protective vinyl type of a clear thing? Is that what you put them in, or?
Yeah, I'm very meticulous on how I keep them, so I always keep them, whether they're worth 5 cents or $5,000, I keep them in a bag and board.
Yeah.
And, I've always done that over the years, and even when I buy old comic books,
Hmm.
and back in like the 80s and 90s when they were using um, those bags, they weren't archival, so they weren't acid free, so you
Oh,
start seeing a lot of that yellowing in the bag.
yeah.
So I always replace those as well to new, like archival bags that will last 25 plus years and won't yellow. So I keep them in, comic book, the regular white boxes and all that. And
Hmm.
I do have some that I've acquired over the years that are graded. I do have some very good key graded books, but you know what, I have kind of like a love hate thing for the graded ones, because I believe, comic books should be, read and enjoyed.
Hmm.
And when you grade them, you're kind of you're
Right.
just stuck with it. You can't open it up or anything.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But you know what? At the same time, I do see the collectability in the graded ones, and and what they could be used for. But I'm not really, I'm not really too confident with these grading companies, because I've seen some things over the years that I don't like the way that they handle books and how they've. There was actually a famous video online about 2 or 3 years ago of a guy who took a which one was it? I think it was a Superman #1.
Hmm.
We took it to this guy at a comic show who worked for CGC, and to just give an initial look at and grade, and he was videotaping it on his phone. And so the first thing they do is a page count, and the way the guy was handling these pages was just like I was astonished. Like my mouth was agape. You could see on the video where he's bending the pages, and everybody that was replying to it was,
Wow.
like, what is this guy doing? And then I've heard rumors over the years that and I could actually see this, you put on your tinfoil conspiracy hats for this one, but
Yeah, yeah.
it does kind of make sense, is that, and like I said, I've noticed it over the years, is that if you're a comic book shop and you have an account, we'll say like CGC, that's the main one for comic books,
Hmm.
and you're sending in a ton of books to them, they're making off of you.
Right.
So you're sending in your prime books that you're hoping to get, a 9.0, a 9.4, 9.6, because then, you can make more money off of it. So I've heard, and I've kind of seen where a lot of these bigger companies that send in more of these books are more apt to get a higher grade
Hmm.
on a
Hmm.
book, whereas if I was to send it in, or a company that didn't send much in would send the same book, would probably get, a
Wow.
lower grade that's um more true to the book.
Hmm.
So there is a lot of that
Wow.
they're intentionally grading these books higher, because these people are making more money, so they're going to come back and send more books and to spend more money. So
Isn't that a shame that stuff like that still exists? I mean,
yeah.
wow. Really. Hey, but Joe mentioned, Eddie, the magic kit. I tell you what, it is a beautiful kit, man. If I do say so myself. And
Yeah, you know what? I was surprised that I got it, and I just want to describe it real quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to you or Eddie to let everyone know where they could find any, if there's any left. But I tell you what, it comes in a very nice box that's shrink wrapped, and it says, "We dare you, unleash Chuck Caputo's horror magic set, illusions from beyond the grave." And I tell you what, you have what's there, 5 handmade magic sets in here. So we have the Gathering, Zombie with a Brain, Floating Shrunken Head, Monkey's Paw,
right,
Hercules Death Pillar, Phantom Dollar Bill, Spirit Time, Mind Reading Swami, Deep Space Terror, and Haunted Severed Finger.
Yeah, right.
So there's a ton of stuff in there. Plus, there's also a bonus from the grave, Houdini's Last Letter, plus
That's a very, very
Chuck the
nice
Magic
effect.
Horse.
Now, my question, Joe, have you opened yours?
No, I am not opening it.
I knew it. I told that to Chuck. I said, Chuck, Joe will never open this.
Nope, I will not open it. No, there's no way. But you know what, Eddie? Let our listeners out there know if they're still able to get this magic set and where they could find it at.
Well, I only have approximately 3 left. They can find it on Etsy, but I'm going to add it probably in my website tonight that I fixed the problem. I was adding it last night, but the pictures for some reason were not uploading. And because, of course, in my job, I have a very slow internet. I have over 1,000 in my home, so I'm able to do it tonight probably. I did add the Haunting in a Box, which is a similar item, which is only 2 pieces made, and there's only 1 left of that. Actually, I'm sorry, there's 2 left of that. So once that goes, that goes. Now,
There's only a limited of 10 of these boxes, correct?
Of the one that you have, there was a limit of 8. No.
Okay, 8. So, and now what's the name of the site on Etsy? What do they?
It's
They have
House of the Unusual.
House of the Unusual on Etsy. Okay, yeah. So make sure you guys out there go there, because there's only, like Eddie said, 3 of these sets left out of 8. So they're going fast, and they'll never be done again. Everything in there is handmade by our very own Chuck Caputo. And Chuck, that was a pretty tedious process, was it not?
Yeah, that was a labor of love, man. It was it was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, it took me many, many hours. And the thing I wanted to mention is Eddie's packaging. I mean, and the design of the label on the box itself. It's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, like it has that old, like you said, a comic book type of a feel to
Yeah,
it. You know, when we're talking about
absolutely.
comic book, it's really cool. And each item is individually packaged and wrapped, and it's just really, really fantastic. And this is a high end kit. I mean, you know what, this isn't, you know, cheap little plastic things that come from China and so forth. Like you said, it's all handcrafted by myself, and it was really like a labor of love. But you know what? It's an excellent kit, and you know, I mean, if I could have had one of these back when I was younger, oh my goodness, I would have been in heaven. You know.
Now, this is an expensive and exclusive kit, so you know this is for the professionals out there, or the people that want to, you know, up their magic game, or if you're a magic collector, this is the kit that you want to grab. And like I said, there was only 8 made by Chuck, and there's 3 left. So once they're gone, and you're not going to find these again out there, people.
Not going to build those again. It was just way too much work, like I said. And you know, it was fantastic doing it, and I had a lot of fun and everything. But yeah, that was just enough. I mean, oh my goodness. But yeah, you know what? Onto other things. But yeah, but the packaging, like I said, is out of this world. Like I said, so you know what? Eddie did a fantastic job. And you know what I like too? He has a commercial for this that he put on, like a little video. If you can find that, I don't know if maybe Eddie could list it on his website or possibly on the forum. But it's a really, really, it's like only maybe 3 minutes long, but ooh, it is cool.
It's actually a minute long.
A minute, okay.
Is that's on the YouTube channel, Eddie?
You know what? I think it's on the Etsy thing. I'm gonna upload it today to our channel to
watch this. It is cool.
And you know what? Why don't you know, we'll provide a link in the show notes, Eddie. Once I send you the podcast description and all that, just add a link to the Etsy site right on there. That way it's easier. If someone's listening and they want to go straight to the Etsy site, they can click that link and boom, they're right there to
they'll be able to. Let me ask you a question, Joe. I guess you got the computer by you. Can you see if it's maybe listed on the not the forum, but on the blog, the website blog?
On the blog, let me see. I'm going to pull it up now on their houseoftheunusual.com.
I did that commercial for whatever, but one thing I want to tell you guys looking forward.
You know what? I don't see it on the blog. No.
You don't see it on the blog?
No, it's not on the blog.
Okay, I guess I'm trying to think where it originally posted it, because when I was doing the commercial, I hadn't finished the magic set completely yet. So I didn't want to, start launching and people start ordering, and then I go crazy trying to do it, put it together.
I mean, this is a cool commercial, man. It has a flickering lights in there. It's just really neat. I mean, Eddie did a great job on that as well.
Yeah, and and one thing I wanted to bring up before I forget, or before we run out of time, and well, we still got a half hour. But one thing I wanted to bring up, because we've been mentioning the forum too, is if anyone out there doesn't know, we have a website, houseoftheunusual.com, and there's a free forum site that you could sign up and join there. There's tons of discussions going on. But what's really cool is that a few months ago, Todd Machen, our Sea Monkey King, he posted a photo in, I believe it was general discussion or one of the collector categories, about some items that he was going to give away. And I was lucky enough to beat Eddie to it, and Todd gave me these items for free. So, the other day I had ordered a bunch of books and magazines from creepyclassics.com, which is home of the Monster Bash. And I had ordered a magazine that I already had. It was one of the Monster Bash issues with Creature on it. And when I was ordering, I knew I had it somewhere. I checked my magazines and I couldn't find it. So I said, maybe I just seen the issue somewhere, but I ended up locating it on my attic steps under a pile of books. So I put the issue on there that anybody responds, they could get it for free. And Todd was the first one to respond. He's a big Creature of the Black Lagoon fan. I guess that's his, maybe like his monster for the sea monkeys under there. So it's that underwater theme. But he was the lucky one to get the winner chicken dinner. So I'm going to send him that magazine for free. But I tell you what, guys, join the forum, interact on there. There's, you might be able to pick up something for free on there, because there's people that have these huge collections, and we've all been blessed with, such great stuff to have. And, if we could give stuff away and make somebody's day happy, we will. And if you want to do the same, feel free to put it up there, because, we've always said we're like a big family on here. So we take care of each other. And if we could make your day, make you smile, we'll do that when we can. And just going through some of my collection over these past few days and getting some stuff to put up on eBay and all that, there is some collectibles I found that I don't want to keep anymore, and it's not worth trying to sell, but it will be worth giving away. So over the next couple weeks, couple months or so, every now and then I'm gonna throw something up on the website for a free giveaway. And it's it's absolutely free. I pay for the shipping and everything. You just get it in the mail, and that's it. So all you got to do is be the first one to respond with something like "Joe is awesome," or "Joe is way better than Eddie and Chuck," something like that.
There you go.
And you'll win.
Where are you listing it? Under the forum?
You know what? It'll be somewhere in the forum. I won't say where, because I want people to kind of start interacting with the forum. And I tell you what, if you're out there and you're on our forum, or you want to join, and you got some stuff that you want to give away to people, feel free to go on there, or to show us. We always I love seeing pictures of people's collections and all that different stuff they got. And a lot of the regulars on there show some really cool stuff. So, but yeah, make sure you guys check the forums.
Something,
there'll be some stuff posted on there.
Joe, that is
only Eddie cannot win anything.
Joe, I was gonna say that's a phenomenal idea, man.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
I really like that whole thing for our thing. It's something I might actually consider looking forward and doing myself. One thing I also want to bring to your attention, Joe, I think you would like this. I think I mentioned it before to you, or I sent you a link. There's a YouTube channel, and it's run by a girl named Antonia Carlotta, Italian girl, whatever, give or take. She, she's a pretty girl there and stuff. But I was noticing in her channel, I didn't, because I had never heard her before, that she has all this Universal Monster stuff. And the reason is because her family was the original owner of Universals. Her uncle was the guy that started Universal. And she was saying how it was kind of taken from her family. How her family lost Universal. And I think Chuck heard the story
Yeah, it's
There was
very,
one,
very, very interesting. Check it out, definitely.
yeah, one particular film that Universal was doing, and her uncle borrowed some 800 and something $1,000 to complete the film, and then the film, could not be completed in time, and he borrowed the money and promised to pay it back in 3 months. So what happened was, as I think he lost the studios, and it was taken over by another corporation who now, Universal is one of the biggest things, and it's kind of funny because she goes, "I wish I could have been, like a Hilton. What's the name of that Hilton girl?
Yeah, Paris Hilton.
Yeah, like a Paris Hilton." She says, "I'm not, but she's happy to show." And one thing about her though is she has such a phenomenal background on the monsters and
Oh,
the
she knows about everything. Oh my
everything.
goodness.
I've never seen anything like it. You would probably be good to follow her, Joe. I think you'll like her a
Yeah,
lot.
you really get a kick out of it. The one
Yeah,
video was about Boris Karloff's makeup. I wish I would have known this. I would have asked Sarah Karloff about this, back when she was on the podcast. I mean, but all of the hours it took for him to get dressed up as the mummy, and the linen had clay on it. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Boris Karloff was the man.
yeah. I tell you what,
Wow.
a lot of those actors that especially the ones that Jack Pierce worked on, the Wolfman and all that.
Right.
He, God, he took hours to do his stuff. He was so meticulous. And
I
could you
know.
imagine sitting there for hours every day getting all this makeup
Yeah, I don't
on?
know if I could have did that, to be honest with you. I don't know. Wow.
Yeah, there's some cool photos out there. They're famous photos of Boris Karloff getting his makeup put on, and he's sipping on some tea. While
Yeah, he was amazing. I mean, the more I find out about him, he was just unbelievable.
I tell you
Wow.
what, I don't know if you guys have checked out yet on the forum site. I posted it on their books and more books. I part of the lot of books that I bought from Creepy Classics the other day. There was a book. It's called The Films of Boris Karloff by Richard Borjarski and Kenneth
Oh,
Bills, and
wow, that would be cool.
it's fantastic. I briefly flipped through it and was checking out some of the photos and all that, but I can't wait to read that. I have one that's just like that, but it's Bela Lugosi, and it's phenomenal. But yeah, I can't wait to really dig into
Oh
this.
yeah, that would be cool. Somebody was on the forum, Joe, not too long ago, which I have these marionettes. I want to dig them out and actually get a couple of pictures. Somebody listed the Pelham skeleton, the break apart skeleton, which is really a cool marionette, and I do have that. It's made in the UK by Pelham. You know,
I believe that was Todd that
that was
posted
thought,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because you know what? About a year ago, maybe a little longer, I actually built a marionette stage, and I got like some cool marionettes. I got a Michael Jackson one. I built a Frank Sinatra one, where he's singing and everything, and I got little voice tracks to go with it and everything. Because you know what? God willing, someday if I retire, you know what? I might end up doing this, like like on the side like that. So it's like a cute little stage with neat curtains, and I do have the break apart skeleton, which is really neat. It was built very, very well.
Yeah, very very cool. I love those. I wish I knew how to do those marionettes, but I've always liked seeing when you see them mostly like in old movies where they'll be walking down the street and they'll see a show of the marionettes. I always thought those were cool.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, when you're saying that stuff, one of the things I liked about Antonia Collada's website was the fact that she was able to say so many stories about how the monsters and the makeup and how the props, and I don't know if she studied extra into it, because I've never seen anybody with that knowledge base on old movies, and she's probably in her late 30s or mid 30s. She doesn't look that old.
Yeah, she's a fairly young girl to have all this knowledge is really, really unbelievable.
It is. It's totally unbelievable. And it's kind of funny though, because I always looked at when we were talking about comic books and stuff, I looked at collectors as people had the most comic books, and Joe shocked me today. Like I
Wow,
said,
I didn't know you had that many. Oh, holy
yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
I've
wow, man.
been collecting for a while. Like I said, when I when I got out of the army and was finally done and could sit down and collect, I kind of went crazy for
you
Yeah.
about
went
2
crazy.
years. You
You
know
know
what?
what? I love the smell. You know what? I love the smell of an old comic book. I can't describe it, which I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. It's that,
Oh yeah, that old pulp smell. God, if I could make it
yeah,
into
it's
a
that
cologne,
paper.
I'd wear it every day. But you know what's funny, guys, is that so I when I got out of the army, I was over in Kosovo and came back to the States, and I met my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and I had moved in with her at the time. She had a little townhouse, and we were in there for several months before we moved out. But I said, hey, I want to bring my comic books in from my parents' house. I want to go through them. I hadn't gone through them in years because I was always gone with the military in different states and everything. So at that time I had about 12 long boxes, and I remember sitting them in the living room at our townhouse. And I came back from overseas with quite a bit of money in the bank because everything was tax free, and you didn't spend any money because you were gone. There was no need to spend it. So I pretty much spent 90% of it on comics. So
Wow.
my 12 long boxes turned into 24 long boxes. So I had to move them to the we had on the second floor, it was like a loft, so I kept them in there, and then it just kept building. And she'll make a comment every once in a while. She goes, I remember the time when you said you were getting your comics from your parents, and you came and there was 12 these long boxes, and I said, oh, that's not too bad. She goes, now you have a whole attic full of them, and there's like 200 boxes.
One question I got to just ask you, Joe, do you have up in the attic there the weight? Isn't that kind of like a worrisome thing that the ceiling would not hold that?
I hope it holds.
I hope so. You better put it in the right places on top of the joists.
Yeah, I have them all kind of outlined against the wall. Nothing's in the middle of it. So
we see you when you do your podcast and stuff. We see them behind, and this is going to kill you. But I have out of mine, I think only probably 5,000 to 6,000 are backed and boarded. The rest are all loose.
Oh, that would drive me crazy.
Just remember, Joe, I came from the 70s and stuff. Yeah. And you really didn't board. And I mean, you know what it is? I know you own the comic book store, co-owned the comic book store, and that probably is where you got you the biggest of your collection. But the thing with comic books and stuff is it takes hours, man, hours and hours just to bag stuff. I bought myself 4 long boxes a few months ago, and I bought about 500, maybe 1,000 of the boards, and I said, I'm going to start putting my comics into that, and I've had them here on the side now almost 4 months, and I haven't done so because
what I like doing is I'll sit in front of the TV and put on a horror movie or something, and I'll bag and board while I watch the movie, and before you know it, it's all done.
They're all done, yeah. You remind me, Joe, back when I got married to my wife, the same scenario. When we bought this house, I brought all magic over from my parents' house, and she was so disgusted. I had head choppers, arm choppers, production boxes, scarves, rubber chickens. She said, "What is going on?" She was so disgusted. And I said, "Oh man," but what are you gonna do?
That's kind of my collection kind of rules the house. I have the whole attic is full of all my comic book stuff, toys and comics, and then we have a basement that's finished, and it's kind of like, it's weird, it's kind of like divided in half by a wall. So I have the one side is all my horror stuff and 80s toys, and then half of the other side is kind of like an overflow I have on shelves of different toys and all that from the 80s. But I've been meaning to, I do want to kind of take all my horror comic books and move them to the basement to keep kind of like that stuff all together, and then bring some of those toys up to the attic, and also that will alleviate some of the weight on the the floor too. But I did do some reading a couple of years ago about weight in the attic, and it says that you could hold about the weight of a car up on the attic. So I think I should be good.
Don't take it for granted. No, the reason I'm saying that, because I know attics sometimes there are parts where the boards are not that. So that's why I kind of came into my mind. Another thing about the attic is your attic looks pretty darn fixed and good, but I know it's super hot. So I do know that you're probably having a little situation there with keeping the air conditioner. Another thing I was going to say.
I keep it on low on the hot days. I keep it on low, and then usually at night I turn it off, and I keep the door closed. And it'll be good until the next morning, and I just turn it back on. So I do keep it real nice and controlled. And what's good about my basement too is that when we bought the house, well, we moved into here when my grandfather passed away, but the lady he bought the house from, she spent a ton of money and got the whole basement waterproofed.
Oh,
She did.
that's important. Yeah.
Yeah, she did the walls, the floor,
Oh, that's
the
great.
outside. I mean, this thing, like there's nothing getting through it. I've never seen anything like it. And I talked to a buddy of mine, and he said, "Oh, this is a couple $1,000 job." So I still run a dehumidifier down there because you still will get some moisture
Right.
that'll creep
Right.
down the steps through the windows. But I have books. I have books and magazines down there and that I've had down there for the last 5 years, and they're still spotless. I
Hey,
mean,
that's a big plus, Joe, because when we first bought our house, some water came into the basement
oh
when it rained real hard, and I had a French drain this place twice. And so I
yeah,
was out there, I mean, I was a lot younger then, but I was out there twice, French draining the whole thing myself.
digging around the house.
Yeah, you put those stones down, those AB stones, and you put the tubing with the holes, and you put the stones on. So it was I mean, but I did,
Yeah.
what I actually did the work myself. It saved a lot of
No,
money because these guys wanted to charge, like you said, thousands. And so I just went out there. I just took a couple weekends and I did it.
you know
Yeah,
something that I'm gonna. I don't mean to scare you with this, Joe, but it's something you have to be very careful. Well, one is in your attic. The fact that it's hot means it probably is very dry, so that's a good thing. But it's also a bad thing, and I'll tell you what. One time, and this happened in my house, so this is something you should always look forward and check out. Your basement with the humidifier, I know seems because I have kept my thing in my daughter's house for the last, which is bizarre because so far I've rented a 17-foot U-Haul and three 15-foot U-Hauls and 10 rides in my car,
Oh my
which is a
goodness.
CRV, and I still have to get another U-Haul for Monday.
Uh,
So I don't know if it's a lot, little, but here's the thing I was going to say. I have in my house, of course, I have one walk-in closet. I have a total of 5 closets in my house, and one of them is a walk-in that's filled to the rim with all my stuff. And then the one that's across, and now here's the thing, my hallway is 27 feet long. So I have a very long hallway, and there's one bathroom. There's 2 bathrooms in the hallway, okay? And across from the hallway, there's 2 closets, and the one that's not right diagonally across where the big bathroom is, but it's like maybe 2 feet to the left. Like when you come out of the bathroom door, it's right across, but it's 2 feet further up. And I had bagged magazines and comics and everything, and I had them inside that closet with the door closed. I guess when people took showers and stuff, as I don't know how in the world the heat or the humidity was able to get in there.
wow.
And I took out one day one of the comics or something like that, and it looked like moisture had gone inside the plastic thing. I'm like, how the heck? So
Wow.
one thing I'm also going to tell you is like, you ever gone to a flea market when you go, people have comic books boarded and stuff, and it's super hot out there, and for some crazy reason, water builds up inside the plastic.
Hmm.
So that is why I kind of don't like those plastic covers. I know they're acid free and they protect your comic, but at the same time, it could be a double-edged sword. Um, that's just something I thought I'd bring your way.
Well, here's the one thing which I know what you're talking about, and if people out there, if they do their bags and boards right, it'll actually kind of um, seal it airtight, so you won't get stuff in there. But yeah, people should always be concerned about moisture of any kind, because nothing out there is 100%. But if you are keeping your comics in your basement, make sure you're running a dehumidifier and you're checking on it, because it sometimes they'll fill up quickly. And if you are keeping them in a hot room, make sure you have an air condition running so that there's cool, and it's the air condition will take that moisture out. And it's nothing's 100% out there. You just got to do the best you can. I've been doing my system for probably the last 20 years, and thankfully I haven't had any issues with moisture in the books. And I've actually, if you guys out there get some of these old books that do smell moldy,
Hmm.
I found some good techniques that will take
You got to tell us that, Joe. That's
Yeah,
something I was about to ask
will
you.
take the mold out, and it won't take 100% of the mold out, but you'll get a good 80-90% out. So one of the things you could do is, and this takes a little bit more time, is you set the book on a table or something in front of the dehumidifier, and every day just turn a page, and it will take some of that mold out, some of that moisture out.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. Also, you could put the book. Both of these versions they're time consuming because you got to constantly move the pages. But get a box of baking soda, open it, put it in a Tupperware container big enough to hold the box of baking soda and your book, and open up the comic book in a Tupperware container, put it in there and put the lid on it, and then every day go back in, turn a page or two, put the lid back on, and it will take some of that moldy smell out.
Wow, that's some good advice.
Yeah, I've had some real good experience with that. Like I said, you're not going to get 100% of the mold out, but you will get a majority of it out, and you'll be a lot more happier with the book. There's also now for the covers too. I got some great ideas for the covers that a buddy of mine we actually looked into years ago. So there's a thing out there. It's called pressing that a lot of these comic book dealers and all that are using. So when you have a cover that's kind of wrinkly, you could get an old shirt press, that they used to put on the designs and stuff. So what you do is you press the book for a couple seconds, 20 seconds, anywhere to 20 to 60 seconds, and it will get the wrinkles out of the book. And then you take it off of there and you put it in between two ceramic plates to cool it down. And you just leave it sit, overnight, and it'll flatten out the book very well. It'll get out the wrinkles, and it will also draw the color back out of the ink, so you'll get a more vibrant color.
Oh, wow. What a neat idea.
Yeah, so if you have a book that the colors kind of faded on there, and you could buy these machines. I think we paid $60 for ours, and we split it 30 and $30, $30, and you could find them used, and they're great. You just put it on there, and definitely look up some videos on how to do it properly. That way you know what you're doing, and try it with some less expensive books. But yeah, you press it on there for a couple seconds, take it off, put it in between the two ceramic plates, leave it overnight or so, or leave it for an hour. Sometimes even an hour works, and you'll see a lot more vibrant colors coming out of there. And then then you could go on there and use you could buy some kits that will actually take off some of the grime and the pencil marks and all that. So there's certain erasers that you could buy to use on the covers that won't damage them. Now, like anything, it's not 100%, so you have to be very careful, because just the wrong amount of pressure, you could dig into that color.
That's true.
But, like I said, it's like anything, it takes practice, but you could really clean up a nice book. I've used over the years just kind of like I'll get a tissue, like the softest tissue that I could find that doesn't have any yellow or anything in it, just the regular tissue. And if I have a book, sometimes you'll get those books from the flea market, and you'll touch the cover and you'll be like, what the heck? You'll see dirt on your fingers. If you get a tissue and you just sit there and very lightly rub the cover, it's a little bit time consuming, but you rub the cover, you could get it nice and clean in about 10-15 minutes, and it won't damage anything. But just make sure you use a tissue that doesn't have any type of lotion or something. It just got to be a regular
You're gonna kill me on this, Joe. You know what I usually do when I buy books in the flea market and stuff, and they're dirty like that? I take a Bounty paper towel, which is soft, and I wash my hands, dry my hands with the paper towel. Now the towel is slightly wet, and spray with a spray bottle of alcohol. Spray the paper towel where it's mixed with water and stuff. And I usually wipe the books. And I got to tell you, I have only ruined one book that way.
Wow.
So that
I don't like I don't like anything that I don't like any liquid around. To me, liquid and paper just It doesn't matter what it is. If it's an alcohol base or to me,
Yeah.
liquid and paper, it's just it's too risky. And you could get, like I said, you do some of those techniques, and you could go on. There's actually on Facebook, there's comic book cleaning groups where they share their tips and tricks
That's
on it.
interesting. Wow,
Yeah,
I
and
didn't
you
know
could
that.
find them on YouTube as well, a bunch of different tricks. But I'm not a fan of any type of liquids around any
Yeah,
type of paper, and I've used these same techniques on old pulps as well. The only thing with old pulps is you have to be very careful. I wouldn't recommend using an eraser because that pulp paper is so brittle. But
right.
in some of these kits, you could get a brush, and it's like a very soft brush, and you could just sit there and brush the cover and all that. And it takes some time to get it. You want to go slow so you don't ruin it. But
Hmm.
use the real soft tissue. You got to be careful with that though. If you put too much pressure, you're gonna chip that or rip the pulp paper, because if you've ever dealt with, I'm sure you guys have, but if anyone out there has dealt with pulp paper before from like the 30s and 40s, it's as soon as you pick it up, it almost crumbles
It
into
almost crumbles.
dust,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of tips and tricks out there that, and like Eddie, I've some of these I've ruined some books before. My practice books, because I have practiced the stuff that I've used, just to make sure I'm doing it. And there's some that I put a little bit too much pressure or did something wrong here, but eventually I got to where I was comfortable, and I knew I wouldn't ruin
Mhm.
a book or anything. But it's like anything, a lot of practice. And
Oh yeah. Hey, that's the same as with my magic props, guys.
yeah,
I'll buy things from auctions and so forth, and you know what? You bring them home and they need cleaned up. So there's different techniques you use. And as far as storing, like the inverti stuff that's electronic, I mean, that's very sensitive. So like it has to be in the dry room, like in the dark corner, just like you're
yeah.
saying. I mean, so yeah, there is there's a little tips, for all types of collecting.
Yeah, you know what?
You know,
I've looked at so many stuff, and for anybody out there that while we're talking about cleaning, real quick here, because we're going to be having to wrap it up. But if you guys out there have old plastic toys, from you know
Yeah, yeah.
any time that you need to clean, the best thing that I have found to clean it is Murphy's oil.
Oh, that's
And
good stuff.
Murphy's
Yeah.
oil is a very, very soft
Mhm.
detergent. It's a very soft cleaner, and it won't scratch or damage anything. Just be careful around anything that has stickers. You could still use it
Mhm.
over the stickers, but make sure there's not a lot. I wouldn't recommend it over the stickers, because you have to really know what you're doing in order to not ruin the
Mhm.
sticker. But over the plastic and all that, use the Murphy's oil. It is the best out there. Other people have their own things. I found Murphy's to be the best. It's soft. It won't scratch anything. You could use it on clear plastic, painted plastic. Use it with a nice whether it's those microfiber rags,
Right.
and you'll have your stuff clean. It'll get into those little crevices, and it won't ruin anything.
Oh,
So
good tip. Wow.
Joe, you have very good tips.
yeah,
Uh,
hey guys, we got about 2 minutes here, so I want to wrap things up real quick here, and I want to give a shout out to a few of our buddies real quick. Dave Haversat at 1878press.com. That is 1878press.com. Also, if you need your Sea Monkey stuff, head over to sea-monkeys.com for all your underwater sea monkey needs. We also have our buddy Ski over at Stupid Comics Magazine, and stupid is spelled just like you would think, STOOPID. So definitely go ahead and check those out. Guys, also check out our YouTube. We have tons of videos up there. It's under House of the Unusual. We have our flagship station there, houseoftheunusual.com. Join our forum. There's going to be a lot of free giveaways and all that, and I'm sure I won't be the only one, man. It's going to catch on. There's going to be a bunch of stuff out there, so you never know what you're going to get. Also, on Etsy, House of the Unusual, grab those magic kits. There's 3 left. Eddie's just waiting to sell them, but once they're gone, they're gone. So definitely check all those out. Support us on, whatever podcast platform you listen to us on. Give us a good review if you like what you're doing. And if you want to be a guest, get a hold of us. We're looking for anyone out there that just wants to pretty much talk about the nonsense stuff that we talk about. Or if you got some different, pop culture stuff that you want to talk about,
That's right.
we're down for that too. So that's all I got. So guys, Chuck, Eddie, thanks for joining us. Everyone out there, thank you for joining us once again. And we will see everybody next week with a brand new show. And guys, we are on the road to episode number 100. I think this is number 94 right here. So
wow.
We got to plan something big for our 100th episode, but this is the road to it. So, guys, that's it. Good night.
God bless, guys.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Welcome, all you cool ghouls and friendly fiends, to the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky, and with me, as always, are my good friends, my good buddies, my compadres, my amigos, Eddie Guevara,
Amigos, yes,
Caputo, and Gary Caputo. What's up, everyone?
All right.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay,
all right. And you know what? And we might have a crying baby in the background, so that's our other guest as well. So if you guys hear crying, it's not Eddie. It is a baby that is doing slave labor for him. So he just wants some food and all that. But hey, that's what goes on here when we're doing the podcast live, which is great. So hey, how's everybody going? I'm going to start with the Caputos over there, Chuck and Sherry. How's everything been over in Pennsylvania land?
I'll tell you what, it's been raining like crazy here.
Woo!
I mean, it rained all day pretty much yesterday, especially at night. It poured.
Yeah, it was horrible.
I mean, it was really, really bad, but it's
A lot of people lost their lights for many hours.
Yeah,
we
lights.
were fortunate we didn't lose our lights.
Yeah, for some
Our
reason,
electric.
the lights stayed on because ours go off usually pretty quick.
Mhm.
But yeah, you know what? Keeping busy. I got a show tomorrow that Sherry's going to help me with, and we're going to go to. It's an assisted living place actually, so that'll be pretty cool. It's around 2:00 tomorrow, so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, and
Chuck, one of the greatest things for you is you always got assisted living. Half the patients are dead, so you can't really, they won't judge you.
Yeah, you know what? And if they can't hear, I just turn up the PA system. I just put it louder, you know what I mean? And it works out. It works out well. But hey, we checked out that movie the other day, which I had seen it before, but first time Sherry
Yeah, I
saw it.
wanted to see it.
Yeah, The Bat. That was a really cool.
The bats.
Really
Yeah,
cool.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, good.
Oh, he's loud. Yeah.
That was really neat with Agnes Moorehead. And
I watched the black and white one. You saw the color?
I think there's a colorized version, if I'm not mistaken. I think I watched it a while back.
I was going to say I have the colorized version. The funny thing about it is Agnes Moorehead actually looks nice there compared to Bewitched, which she was kind of hideous.
Oh yeah, she looked pretty. But and then the one woman on there, the one girl that got struck by the bat on the steps was Darla from the Little Rascals, Darla Hood.
Darla Hood, yeah.
Yeah. You know, the thing that was weird though, Joe, there was no blood anywhere. I mean, like this guy got a claw that looks like a raven's claw. He slashes people's throats, but there's no blood.
No blood.
I don't get it.
That's what I kind of like about the black and white movies. And I have this discussion with a buddy of mine all the time, and I think he's in his early 80s, maybe 80, 81, somewhere around there. And, we try to meet up once a week for coffee, and we'll watch some old movies or serials or TV shows. And he's not a big fan of gore, and I could kind of go either way. He used to like the gore stuff, but now he's kind of moved on to it, and that's almost how I am. If I'm watching like an 80s horror movie, I could appreciate the gore in it, but I kind of like the fact that when you watch a black and white, you usually don't see too much gore. Blood. There are some, especially the pre-code, where you will see some blood, but I'm good with it. To me, it's more about the story. And even in The Bat, even though it's a B movie, it's, you don't have that gore and all that. It's still a cool movie to watch.
Yeah,
It's a good movie.
Yeah, you know what? The whole setting about the house and everything, it was just really cool. And then the other day, the other thing we've been doing, Sherry and I went on to a local radio station, so we went on for like an hour type of an interview, which is cool, out here in Pittsburgh. And so you know what, it's like to promote the local businesses out here in my area, so that worked out really well. So we mentioned the House of the Unusual and stuff like that, and so it was
cool.
Talked about
Appreciate that.
magic.
Yeah, we talked about
magic career, and how he started.
Yeah, it was
how we met and all that good stuff.
And then we made one more excursion. I don't want to go too long on this, but we went to the cemetery and we went to we went to Mr. Rogers' grave.
Tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's about
Very
an hour away
cool.
from Pittsburgh. He's out in Latrobe, PA. And we actually put a little video up on YouTube. So if you have a chance
Yeah.
to check it out, we went right to his mausoleum. I tell you what, the one thing I did want to say about him was he seemed like a really, really nice man. I mean, there's no controversy the guy was ever involved in. You know what? It was always on the up and up. I mean, he seemed like
Yeah.
a really decent man, you know?
Yeah, very caring.
Yeah. So,
I tell you what, I seen someone sent me, it said the most wholesome meme ever, and it was obviously someone did it with Photoshop, but it was Fred Rogers wearing a shirt of Bob Ross standing next to Steve Irwin under a rainbow.
Oh, that's cute. I
man,
like that.
yeah, that's really cool. I tell you.
Yeah, it was really cool how they did it and all that. But hey, you were talking about the storms before. I tell you what, we got the same thing here.
Yeah.
I was sleeping. I think it was maybe Monday or Sunday. I can't remember which one, but I was sleeping in the morning because I work nights. So this had to be about 10 or 11, and I heard a boom and the whole house shook. I jumped out of bed. My dogs jumped out of bed. And I said, "What the heck's going on?" And my wife was working, in the other room because she teaches from home, and she came running in and she goes, "Oh, that was just thunder." And I said, "Are you sure?" And she goes, "Yeah, there's a big storm." And I thought it was, we live about a block away from a gas station. I thought the gas station blew up. It was so loud.
That's crazy.
Shook everything. So I'm like, "Oh, okay." I looked outside. I seen the dark skies and everything. I'm like, "Oh, this is cool." And it started to rain. I'm like, "But I'm tired. I'm gonna go back to sleep." So I got to hear the rain, and just as I'm falling asleep, boom, it hits again and shakes the whole house. I was like, "What the heck is going on, man?" But finally, it kind of subsided a bit, and I got to fall asleep to the rain. But I haven't heard thunder like that in this area in a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, that's been
getting
that's been getting pretty brutal. And we did get some water down in our basement. I checked.
Did we?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, when it rains real hard like that, you know what? I French drained this place twice already. And my fingers are twisted and gnarled. I can't do anymore. That's about it. I'm old and sick. I don't feel like doing it anymore. So some came in, not much, but I mean, but
that's what happens. When it rains real hard.
Yeah, this is an older house too. We live in. This is not a young house here.
No.
Yeah, that's ours. Is I know when we moved in, the lady that had it prior to my grandfather, she must have put some big money into waterproofing the basement because it is the whole inside's done and the outside. I mean, there had to be a lot of money she put into it. So I was like, thank God I don't have to do nothing with it. It is, the only thing I did when I came in is that I put a fresh coat of waterproof paint on the walls in the basement just to add that extra. And I used the what's it called, the fruit cellar. I wanted to use that for storage, so I put waterproof paint on the walls there, and then I kept the door open, which is right by my what do you call it, dehumidifier. So I don't get any type of moisture or anything in there. So
that's a big plus, Joe. I tell you what, because I know a few people that have like hidden sub pumps, that click on, and because so much water comes into their basement, so that's an ongoing problem, I think, especially with these older houses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. So hey, glad you guys could come on and everything, and I'm going to switch it over to Eddie Guevara and see what's new with him. So what's up, Eddie?
Hey, Eddie.
Well, hey guys. One of the things I'm going to say though is kind of funny because when you're talking about that loud thunder, I wonder if it's the same one that woke up my daughter not last night, the night before. She goes to me, "Daddy, did you wake up?" And I go, "I slept right through it, but it was so loud. It was so loud it woke her up and woke up my wife too." So I'm wondering if that could have been the same one. But you know what though? It's been raining a lot, but praise Jesus. I got to say this, man. When I was doing the truck, I got the truck. Was a Monday. It was raining in the morning. I rented the truck by 11:30 a.m. whatever, and it stopped raining. And it didn't rain again in all day. It was cloudy, but we were able to do and it was the biggest truck yet. Even though we were finished at 11:30 at night. Then we went to grab a bite, me and Jim, my buddy Jim, which I thank for that because Jim was actually helping me in all 5 truckloads. And
Wow.
I couldn't do it. If he wouldn't have helped me, I would have been dead because it's been crazy. And now I still have to rent tomorrow a van or a 10-foot truck to finish taking the stuff out of my office here. So I'm not completely out of the woods yet. And then I have a whole month of organizing. Insane. But you know what? I might even film that. That might be pretty cool. As I'm,
Yeah, that would be a good idea, Eddie. Put that on film. That would
Yeah,
be
we'd
kind of
like to see that.
that'd be kind of neat.
yeah, because I could fast forward it, not fast forward it, but like time lapse and stuff, and it'll be great. But one thing I'm going to tell you guys, and this is no kidding, moving and collecting, and here's 2 big things about this. We start buying things and we go, hey, this is a great item. This is a great item. Like a good example for now. Now I got already enough as it is. Now all of a sudden I'm getting the pastry chef, which I'm sure it's a box the size of a Charmin box.
It's
I'm
pretty
getting,
big.
yeah, I'm getting the other thing, the haunted desk from Chuck. And at the same time, when I went to Chiller, it was kind of ironic. They had a thing I've never seen before. It's a 1961 Mercury capsule, and it's like the Polaris nuclear sub where it folds paper. It's actually in pretty good condition. It's got the instructions, never been built.
Wow, that would be cool, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I think I remember seeing it in an early 60s. Boys Life magazine might have had an ad for it or something, but I don't remember. It doesn't really say anything but Space Capsule. This is the name of the company. And at the same time, I was going through another vendor. And there's a vendor that's got an 11 by 17 sheet. And it has I Dream of Jeannie just getting married to Major Nelson, but they're sitting inside a Mercury 7 space capsule.
Is that
cool?
Wow.
It looks identical. It fit right into the picture. So I even threw it into the original box. So that was a pretty good find, and it was a decent bargain I got. But then again, the guy was selling for a little bit over $500, but I was able to negotiate a price because I know the guy. He's an awesome guy. His name is Norm, and he usually, does Chiller Theater every year. And I also know him from the PAL, which is a flea market. He's been there for like 20 some odd years there. He gets a lot of stuff. He had quite a few things there. And so, having said that, it's been a great, fantastic week. For some reason, this Chiller was a lot better than all the other ones I've been to in a while. And I found it ironic because there weren't not that many people because we go on Friday evening. So we go right before Saturday is crazy. But we were there. We had, Heather Thomas. A lot of the actresses were there, which, was pretty. I know that my friend Charlie, he got lucky. I was going to post some of the actual footage on not the forum, but on the blog. But one of the things I was going to say about it is that the guy from MASH, you have MASH, you have the cook. Jim found a cookbook on eBay that goes usually for $100 and some bucks, and he was able to get it at a good price. And then he had the cook actually sign it for him. So now,
nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, Charlie was super happy. Now, me, myself, I got to be honest. I don't care for MASH. I never liked MASH. My wife used to love the show, watch it every day. I just could never sit down and say I found MASH funny or anything. But that's
I
just
tell you what, that was a long show. How long was that in syndication? That was
about 13 years or more. They called it at one time, the longest running. Like I said, I don't know why. I don't like the show. I know Joe has every action figure of the show. I don't like the show. I just don't care for it for some reason.
I actually never got into MASH. I've watched it. Used to watch it a few times when I was young with my grandmother, but for some reason I never got into it. It just wasn't. I don't know. That's
parts of it were actually funny. You know what? But they did change the characters a lot. I mean, throughout the years, they did change the main characters, except for Ellen Aldo. But they did switch quite a few people out of there. But yeah, I thought it was overall pretty good. It was pretty humorous. But but you mentioned I Dream of Jeannie. Here's a fun fact. This is pretty cool. That cool bottle that was actually used on the show itself, that is a 1964 Jim Beam a Christmas edition bottle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And I found a guy on, I think it was Etsy, who actually who actually makes these things. He cuts them from a laser type of thing.
Mm.
And so I purchased a little plastic one. Well, it's about 8 inches tall, and so I put a smoker in it. Like from the old train sets we had when we were kids.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so I put a smoking generator in there, and so when you secretly push the button, smoke comes out of it when you take the lid off. It's like really really cool, man. But that bottle always caught my eye, and I finally found out exactly what the heck that thing was.
You
Like I
you
said, it was a 1964 Christmas edition Jim Beam bottle.
That's something.
Yep.
you know what's funny about that? What you're talking about is that I found that bottle, the Gene Beam bottle you're talking about. I'm gonna
Yep.
look for it because I said, wow, this looks like the genie bottle, and I bought it in a flea market for like a
Oh,
dollar something. But you know what's funny though? When I Dream of Genie was there in Chiller about, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, give or take, or maybe before. I think it might have been 4, I don't know, 4 or 5. I lose track of time. I'm not good in timekeeping, but
Well, tell me
Genie
about it.
was Genie was there, and so was Major Healy, and this was a little bit before Larry Hagman died. So the
Yeah.
year I met him, it was like he died 6 months. So
oh,
that's
wow.
when I got to meet Genie. Now Larry Hagman was there. I thought he was kind of like an interesting character because I went to say hi. He said hi, but he's in a wheelchair. And when I went to have him sign or something or take a photo, they always, some people don't take photos of, there's some characters, and it wasn't Larry, but whoever was with him there. So I wound up getting his autograph because I bought the I Dream of Genie bottle. They were selling it for $125. And
Wow.
each autograph, if you bought the bottle, the autographs were, I think, 25
Yeah.
instead of, you can get all 3 autographs for 75 instead of the normal 50 per autograph. So I got the bottle autographed by them 3.
Wow.
Major Healy was kind of nice because he gave me an additional autograph to that. He didn't charge me for it. He gave me a photo and he
Yeah.
took pictures for me. I thought he was phenomenal. In fact, I've met him twice already, and he's a really, really cool guy. He jokes around with you.
Oh, that's nice.
I,
Is he still alive? Is he still alive
yeah,
anymore?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And like I said, he's phenomenal because he took pictures with me, took pictures with my wife, my daughter,
Nice.
and yeah, he was just phenomenal. And Jeannie was such an awesome person. I said to her, it's funny, I called the Jeannie and she says, no, the name is, she goes, my name is actually Barbara Jean. No, I said, I'm sorry. I said, Jeannie, I go, I'm sorry. She goes, no, my name is Barbara Jean. So she goes, it's fine. That's it. So I go, do you mind if I film? And she goes, no. So I was standing literally in front of her face, about 15 inches away, a foot away in the line. And I was filming her for like a good,
Ah,
let me, she was there talking. And then
that's
she took
cool.
photos with me, my wife, everybody. And actually, if you go to Etsy and you look at photos, I think there's a photo of me and her there
Oh,
with my
that's
wife.
pretty cool. Yeah, she seems like she's a pretty nice person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
She's
way they
awesome.
should be,
She's
though.
awesome. Well, you know what? A lot of people don't realize she was there a little bit after her son had committed suicide. So I got to admit,
Oh,
though, she was, in really good spirits based on
Yeah.
what, she went through. Now, one thing I never understood is how instead of making Wilson or something, her actual husband was that guy, the hideous looking guy, the big tough
Uh,
guy in the show that always used to be like the master. Remember,
oh,
he would
really?
grab her by the hair.
Oh, really?
Michael, what's his name? Michael something. Yeah, that was her husband. I
Wow.
think they, unless I'm wrong, I think they're still married or something. Yeah, unless
well,
he passed away. But yeah,
Wow.
you know what I'm talking about, right? The big guy that looked like Lurch.
Yeah, I think I do remember. Well,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to Google this.
yeah,
Wow.
let's check it
Is
out.
that something?
Yeah.
yeah, that Michael. I forgot his name, Michael something, but that's her husband. And I was like, why would? I mean, how did he score such a? Because she was
Uh,
really pretty, and he's
Yeah.
kind of like a gruesome looking guy. He looks more
a
like a Lurch or something.
gruesome looking guy. That's
Yeah, you
pretty
know what I
funny.
mean. You guys remember the Gruesomes with the Flintstones next door, the neighbors, the Gruesomes?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty funny.
Wife Rapella.
Oh. You mentioned Larry Hagman. I think he needed a liver transplant at some point in his life, if I'm not mistaken. I know
Well,
he was in pretty bad health there for a
you
while.
know the thing with Larry Hagman, and I'll tell you what, in at the same room where Jeannie was and all that, they had the entire cast of Dallas as well as Jeannie. So
Oh,
Larry Hagman was
nice.
getting both sides of the fence. The guy Duffy, Patrick Duffy, who played his brother,
Yeah, oh
what
yeah.
really shocked me, and this was shocking. Jim, my buddy, 6'5", and Patrick Duffy was higher than him.
Is
Like
that
I
right?
stood,
Wow.
yeah, I
Oh wow.
reached the guy. I was like underneath his shoulder. That's how small I am next to the guy, and I'm like, wow. this guy on TV looked so small. You know, he looked like he was the size of Major Nelson. So I think what it is Larry Hagman. I mean, the way they do the TV, and I noticed this the other day, where they have, if you watch The Blacklist, for example, I love The Blacklist and stuff. The guy who plays there, the Cooper, that plays the part of the, you know, the head of the FBI, he's really tall. He's like a huge tall guy, and when he's standing next to that, somehow they put the cameras for the other guys from the up down. I mean,
That's
from
what they
down
do.
up to
Right.
make them look taller next to him, because
Yeah.
he's really a big guy, and I do that to compensate in size with people.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's a lot of the things that are happening. But that's what I think they did with. But like I said, girl who played his wife, I forgot her name. She looked pretty young. Larry Hagman, who played, you know, the girl who played his wife in Dallas.
Right.
I forgot her. And the blonde one was there too. The one that was, no, not that one. I'm thinking Dynasty, because they had a room there. They had the Dynasty cast too, and the blonde lady that played Dynasty with the guy who played the main character. I forgot his name, but I used to watch those shows religiously. But you know, I kind of forgot a lot about him. And they kind of look pretty good for their age. And one person that really blew me away was Bionic Woman. She was there, Lindsay.
What we were just saying.
Yeah.
About her, Mike. She was very, very, and this one show had a big cast, and among one of those people too was Elvis Presley's ex-wife. I mean, Priscilla Presley, right?
Oh yeah, Priscilla.
And this was kind of funny. We're going in the room now. This is the catch. They want $100 for her to sign any autograph you do, right? Now the thing that's funny about her, yeah, she had a huge line out the door. So we waited online because I had acquired a book for me that was the wedding of her and Elvis, and I was going to have her sign that book. So I'm waiting in the line, and I noticed that there's another little that they're telling you that for an additional $50 or $25, I forgot what they were charging, they would give you a Providence certificate, like to prove it was an actual signature. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I had my iPad on my chest, right? So I set my iPad to record, and I'm holding it up against my chest, and I'm just like going around, and lady says to me, you can't. I said, I'm not recording, I'm just holding the iPad. And I was holding, and I recorded the whole scene of her you know, signing and talking to me. Like, I'm gonna pay another, get out of here. But the thing that's really interesting about the whole thing is that Priscilla Presley, one thing that really amazed me. Now, here's a lady who could be my mother, because you know, we're talking Elvis Presley back in the 50s and stuff.
That's
and
true.
This lady, for her age, I know it must be Botox galore or whatever, but she was attractive.
Yeah.
Like I said to my wife, it was funny, and Jim, I said, you know, Jim, I could actually go out with this woman. Like, she was that pretty up close. And I was really, really thrown back, because she's got to be over 70 when I.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she's probably about 75. Yeah.
But the same thing I can't say for Heather Thomas. The poor thing didn't age as well as she, you know, she should have.
Isn't that something? Wow.
Unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of actors that it's just the same thing as the guy that, you know, the guy from what do you call that movie? Oh my gosh, I forgot. He was in a wheelchair. Michael something was his name.
Oh, Jan Michael Vincent, is that?
Yes, Jim Michael Vincent. That guy, man, that poor guy. He was there. He was signing. He's in a wheelchair. It looked like he was missing an eye. He looked. Oh, I don't know why he even went to that show. Poor guy. And then he passed away a little while. Yeah, but there was a lot of actors really throw you off when you see them in person.
Oh, absolutely.
As compared to when you see them in the movies, you know.
You mentioned,
But
you know what? I think as far as heights go, you had mentioned heights. I think Vincent Price. You know, I'd have to Google this, but I think he was a pretty tall guy. I would say 6'4", somewhere around there. It seems like it.
He was real kind of tall and lanky almost.
You
Yeah,
can tell because he's kind of like hunched over. Don't you notice he's kind of hunching over when he's doing a lot of his movies? Yeah.
You know what? And if you look at his bone structure, like his legs are real long, his torso's real long. You know, I wouldn't doubt if he was about 6'4", somewhere around there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, I'm lucky. I'm 5. You know what? I'm lucky. I'm 5'10". I'm 5'10". My grandfather, he was 5'1". Can you believe that? Yeah.
Wow.
He was a little Italian guy, and I tell you what, you know, I'm very lucky. I'm 5'10", man. You know what? I'll take it. You know, I'll take it, man.
When you're saying the heights and stuff like that, a lot of people, we don't realize that, how tall some people are and stuff. But I saw Vincent Price a couple of months ago. I was rewatching F Troop. I think they had it on Cozy TV, if I'm correct, or I don't know if it was Cozy TV or Pluto TV.
Oh
And they
yeah.
had the one where Vincent Price goes to the camp, and Larry Storch, who plays Corporal Agarn, is scared because he thinks he's a vampire. I don't know if you guys saw it, but that was really funny, man.
Yeah.
I used to watch that.
That was a funny show. That was a great show.
F Troop is really great. I mean, I got to tell you, F Troop is one of those shows that you want to say, just like I think and I told you guys, I don't know if you guys ever watched, but the Guns of Will Sonnet. Wow, that's a darn good show, man. Those shows were done like really good.
Yeah.
And, you know what it is? And Jim said this. Jim, my buddy, said this recently, and Charlie, we were talking about it. The way they typecast the people of olden days, like Herman Monster, Lily, the way they typecast people for roles was phenomenal. Like they got such great actors to play those parts.
Oh, they did.
And one thing that recently really shocked me, and I'm so pissed off. I mean, it's bad enough I'm already disliking. But what I say about it is I found out they ditched for the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah, Johnny Depp.
Yeah, Johnny Depp.
That's a big mistake. That's
a huge mistake. I couldn't picture anybody else playing that part except Johnny Depp.
Exactly. So I did the same thing with 2.5 Men. Once I know Charlie, Sheen, he had his issues, but he made the show. The moment he was gone, the other guy was an idiot. The show went poof down the tubes. And that's what's going to happen with Pirates. That's going to be the last one. I'm not even going to bother watching if Johnny Depp, because
he was cool. He was cool as
we love him
as Jack Sparrow. He's a good actor.
He really is.
He really is fantastic. He really is. Wow.
Yeah, that is. And I mean, and for something stupid, they're still in court. You haven't even proved the damn thing. So how can you accuse somebody without having the proof first?
Exactly. See, that's the thing. What's happening now? I mean, you can't take people's word for it. Whatever happened to what a person's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty.
That's true.
I mean, come on, man. This is ridiculous. I don't know.
Yeah. So Disney, I don't know. I think Disney made a big mistake with that. In fact, I think they should just cut out the whole. It's just like with Star Wars. Star Wars is okay, 1, 2, 3, but now when you got 15 different Star Wars, come on, man.
They got carried away. That's like it's going to be Rocky 17. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It gets to that point where you got to either you got to end the trend. Like I mean, come on, Halloween. I know Joe is in that. How many Halloweens are you going to have? What's the end story? Okay, the guy, you can't kill him. He comes down, he kills a bunch of. At the end of the thing, he's still alive. You can't. You don't. That's why I don't like movies like that. I just hate them.
Yeah.
I don't like them.
Yeah. If you saw in the old days, The House on Haunted Hill, The Bat, it had like an ending to the darn thing,
That's right. There was a definite ending. There was no lead in to a possible sequel. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. We should hold Joe responsible for this because he is the curator of Crypt of Classics, I think he's at fault here. Joe, answer your prayers, brother.
There's just, I think they just look to see what kind of money they could make off these franchises, like Halloween, and they've redone Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now they just redid a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it was a direct sequel to the original one. And it was pretty horrible. I mean, they tried to inject, kind of like the way people act today and everything, and like the whole culture, and it didn't work out. It was no story, and they were like, well, how could we make it just very gruesome and bloody and gory? And there was really no story. It was kind of stupid. And
yeah, absolutely. Hey, there's a movie when I was in high school that I watched, and I actually have it on DVD. I'll pop it in once a year. It kind of reminds me of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was Motel Hell. Do you remember that with?
I remember Motel Hell.
Yeah, with Rory Calhoun. That was a cool movie.
We like that one.
Yeah,
that was from 1980, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I was in about maybe like 11th grade then when it came out, and it's just funny, man. Oh, it cracks me up. And
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time. Maybe I'll have to revisit that.
yeah, it's an
Is
excellent
that, is
movie.
that the one where he has? Is that the one where he has a pig's head on
Yeah,
his
exactly.
the
Yeah, see, that's why
chainsaw?
that
Yeah,
guy.
okay.
Yeah, he was Farmer Vincent. Remember, he said it takes a lot of fritters to make. No, it takes a lot of critters to make Farmer Vincent's fritters. Yeah, he would like cut people up and make sausage out of them and
He
stuff.
planted them in the ground and remember they had the bags over their head?
Yeah, he planted them in the ground, and it was funny, man. It was hilarious.
You
I
know,
might have to revisit it. I think I actually have that on VHS somewhere. I'm gonna have to check it out because I
Yeah,
know it's been a long time since
long
I've
time.
seen that.
you
Yeah, that
know,
brings back memories.
I'm going to tell you guys something. One of the films, and especially when you talk about old films, I think this film should never have been made. Was one? I think the last film the Wolfman was involved in. I don't know if it's Dracula versus Frankenstein or the Wolfman versus Dracula. I forgot what it was, but that film was such a piece of garbage. I think I went 10 minutes into the film, 20 minutes, and I turned it off. I was like, wow, man, this guy, a legend, in the monster business, should never have done that film.
Which film
And
was that, Eddie?
I don't know. I think the last one that Lon Chaney was in. I don't know. Carnival. It was very like they made it horrible. The background music, everything. You know what? It looked like something I would go to Joe's house and film on a regular
Yeah.
day like that with no freaking backdrop or anything. It was horrible. And I got to tell you something, which is funny too. One film that was not that great, but I was able to meet in this chiller was the guy. His name, he goes under the name Victor Sorgov or something like that. And Sargo, I think. And he appeared in the 1971 Dracula versus Frankenstein. The film is not that great. But I was there and he was charging $10 for an autograph. So I was surprised that we got 3 of them. And the guy was pretty decent. He actually agreed to come on the podcast if I call him, and he gave me his information. So I found that. But one thing, Joe, that this is a good thing for the future, and I'm sure Joe is going to love this. There's a guy who wrote a movie. They directed a movie. It's coming out. It's going to be available in the next chiller in October, and it's called something about Boris Karloff, The Unmasking, or something like that. And it was co-produced by Sarah Karloff. It's like a really, really good film. I forgot the name of it right now, to be honest. If you look it up, I'm sure that the Chiller site has it. But he also agreed to be on our podcast, along with a guy that wrote the 10 best horror films of all time, a book. He said he would be in as well. So we can have a couple of good guests coming up.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Wow, that's great.
And for the 100th episode, I'm going to have Sarah pop in. So how many shows are we away from our?
I think we are. Let's see. I have to look on our podcast. We should only be maybe about 5 or so
Wow.
Yeah,
away, or
I have to make
maybe 4.
I have to make
Let's
sure
see.
Sarah's available.
We are. It says we have 94 episodes, so this will be 95 right here. So 5 more episodes.
Oh,
Wow.
Okay, 5 more weeks. Wow.
So-
You see, it. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I said, yeah, it's coming up quick.
Yeah, it is, and and that will be the title. Joe comes out of his tombstone. Not only does he crawl out of the ground and slither up your neck, he will produce the 100th episode of House of the Unusual. Watch
I
Joe
can't believe it's
devour.
already. I can't believe it's already getting that many. I mean, it's been almost 3 years.
Well,
Wow.
you know what, Joe? I'll tell you what. This is what I said. I told the story many times. I started in 1985 with the idea that I would love to have a radio show. I already mentioned to you guys, I wound up buying some FM transmitters and all this stuff. Just buying articles on how to start your podcast and all this from 1995, 96. One day I get an email from a man named Joe Pavlansky, and he says, "How you doing, buddy? I haven't heard from you." I'm not like, I don't know. You mentioned something in the email that you wrote for Not Famous Monsters, that you wrote for Scary
Scary
Monsters.
Monster.
So when you came on and said that, I called you up and I said, "Hey Joe, why don't we do a podcast?" Well, and you're like, "Okay," and that's it, man. We started. Here's the trick. If you want to do a podcast, get together with a friend, call them on the phone, and have a regular conversation and broadcast it. As simple as that.
That's
There
true.
It
you
works
go.
that way.
Yeah.
We're already 100 episodes. If not, man, we were sucking our thumbs. Joe would have
Yeah.
still been writing for Scary Monsters with no, and now Joe is a famous celebrity worldwide.
Yeah.
In
Oh,
fact,
I still write
Joe,
for Scary Monsters. I tell you what, they have they're redoing Castle of Frank. Well, not redoing, but they're going to be republishing Castle of Frankenstein, starting with issue number 36. It says it's coming fall of this year. Not really much info on it, so I'll definitely be letting everyone know when that hits. They kind of have a cover done up, and it looks fantastic, kind of like in the spirit of the original Castle of Frankenstein's, and I guess they have the trademark rights and everything to it. So yeah, so it should be coming out sometime this fall.
Nice.
one of the things I'm going to tell you, Castle Frankenstein was a very good magazine back in the day. And one thing I'm going to say is, and I know this guy beat me to the punch. What's his name? Mr. Todd, Mr. AKA King of Sea Monkeys, who actually, believe it or not, he's been investigated for mistreating the sea monkeys, I hear.
Oh,
They're gonna. He's been running down, and being ruling with a rod of iron,
Fist.
iron fist. But the point is that with everything said, with the sea monkeys and all that stuff, he got Joe's magazine, and of course, he has been blasting it all over the site. He's been blasting it all just to prove that he got it and not me. So that's Mr. Todd for you. But I've been trying to get even with him. But here's the whole thing basically is that magazine that I got to tell you about, which is a Monster Bash, correct?
Yeah, the Monster Bash magazine.
That magazine is super well done. That's one thing I got to tell Ron. Ron, I'm for some reason I found it funny. He hasn't been in Chile consecutive times, but before he always used to set up a table there. And it was like a huge table, but I didn't see him this time there. I was surprised. But that's maybe because of, ever since the pandemic, a lot of people just kind of whatever.
I thought he did go to Chiller because I know he's been going all over the place. I thought he was down there.
I didn't see him, Joe, and I was there like looking because I usually go say hi to him and stuff. And sometimes I look at the latest issue he's got to get it, because that's about the only place you get Monster Bash. I don't think you can really buy it in stores.
No, you can get it from the website, or if you go to any of the dealers. But yeah, you would definitely know if he was there with all the DVDs and everything.
Yeah.
That has.
Let me ask you a question. Don't you write for Monster Bash?
No, no. I was thinking of sending an article in there, but he kind of does it where he doesn't really kind of solicit a theme. It's, you send him articles and he may use it next issue or 7 issues from now. So it's kind of like you write whatever and then send it to him, which I just got to find something kind of interesting and different to write. Then I send one to him. But I did contact him about a year ago.
Right about the House of the Unusual Radio podcast.
Yeah.
The horror that will wake you from the dead.
That would be a good subject.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to tell you, to be honest with you, Joe, I actually introduced you to, you might be hearing from him, Scream publisher for Scream magazine. Scream.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually introduced you, and I said that you were my co-host, and I said Joe is a very, very popular writer. He writes for, he's written for Famous Monsters. He's written for several things, and he publishes a lot of, when you go to CVS Pharmacy, those books of stuff like that. He's authored quite a few of it. I said, you should get, and he goes, really? So I gave him some information, and he might be reaching out to you because I mean, Scream Magazine, it's got a pretty large circulation, and it's sold in a lot of stores like Barnes and Noble, and the guy who puts it out, he always has a pretty good deal. He sells you the one issue for $10, or you get a special edition issue, $15, and he throws in a free D of he always has like a pretty good deal there.
I thought you were going to say
And
his deal was one issue for $10 and get the second issue for $9.99.
no, actually, he puts out
that's a House of the Unusual deal. We'll sell you one book for $10, and if you buy that, we'll give you a special deal of the day for another one for $9.99.
Yeah, there's only one for you know who made it. I go on if you guys go on Facebook has become a place where sometimes you can buy decent stuff, and they show. So this one lady's selling a trunk. Now this is an old trunk from the 1940s, and it kind of folds up like a closet, I think where you hang. So it's a small trunk, but it looks like you would put suits in one side, but you open it with wheels and you open it sideways. So, it has a compartment for suits in the left. It's like really cool. And it's got it for $15. So I respond and I say, is it still available? So then she writes back to me and says, yes, it's available, but I noticed she changed the price to $95 instead of $15. So she goes, are you still interested? And I wrote, yes, I was until you changed the price. But no, not anymore. Thank you. I like the way she pulled that one. That's like a fast one,
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, one time I sent Joe $10 for a book. I went over to this, and he sent me half the book. He says, I forgot to tell you, you got to pay for shipping. So after you send me an additional $5, I'll send you the other half of the book.
Yeah, you get nothing. Hey, speaking of books, Chuck, what are those booklets that you posted on houseoftheunusuals.com's forum? Those are really cool. You got some fun with string, big bag of tricks.
Yeah, they're really cool. Yeah, shadow, hand shadows and so forth. I got that from eBay. I was looking around and there was 9 of them, and they're all in really good condition. I mean, I don't really see anything wrong with them. Everything's tight on there. There's no rips or anything. It seems like they're from 1943, like I put on there. And yeah, you know what? It's actually kind of cool, and yeah, there's some really cool stuff on there. And one is sporting games, like it explains in detail, like football, baseball, things of that nature. And so yeah, it's actually kind of cool. I was skimming through them. I'm going to read them a little bit more in detail.
I'm kind of interested in that one, the game of salvo as played by our armed forces. That looks like it might be really cool. That and the science of judo, commando tactics. That
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's an old one, Chuck.
Yeah, it's got
got
some cool moves on there.
Yeah, but let me tell you something about Chuck, Joe. No, I was going to say something about Chuck, Joe. When he shows you a book there, be careful, because every time he puts a book up in his thing, and I look it up, it's like $700 to get a copy. So, be careful on the price there.
I tell you what I could
half a vial of blood to get the books.
No, I tell you what I could do is, what, if Eddie wants to make a copy, I'm sure it's out of, it would be out of copyright 1943. I could send those to him, and if he wants to spin off a couple copies or whatever, that wouldn't be a problem. But
yeah, those are cool. Even that I tell you what, that eye foolers one for parties, socials, and homes, a book of optical illusions. That looks really cool too, man.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of like those obscure little printed books like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, so it's it's kind of neat. I like that.
Now, Sherry, will you read any of those, or are those all Chuck's toys?
You know what? I'd like to check them out. I didn't really know that he did get those. So yeah.
I always
let me see that bank account now.
I'm always
be careful. You guys got to be careful, man.
I'm always sneaking packages in the house. You know what I mean? And,
I'm the same way. Hey, I'm the same way, man. I've always seen my wife will say, "Oh, what's that you got?" "Oh, it's just a book or something," but I don't tell her the price or book or something. That's a book I got.
Let me tell you guys.
I could have got it at Barnes and Nobles, and this. Oh no, I got it for a real good price. And I'm like, oh, thank God we're not a joint bank account, man, because I'd be I'd be paying for it more ways than one.
Oh man.
Joe, let me tell you something, my man. You got to do like I did the other day. I come from Chiller. Thank God, Jim sprung out and he got me the thing. So I told my wife, "You can ask Jim." She goes, "You sure?" I go, "I didn't pay for it." But the funniest part about you're gonna like about this part is the fact that I go into Target and they're doing a marathon by my job, so I had no choice. They blocked off the road. Cop said, "I can't let you in, even though you work there, because people running. You gotta wait." So I get stuck in Target for about an hour, right? So I go, lo and behold, I'm walking around twiddling my thumbs, and I'm like, the people are gonna think I'm crazy. Like, what am I doing just walking around the store? So I go towards the computer section, and in the back of the computer section where the TVs are, in the corner of my eye, I noticed a small Frankenstein. I go, what? So when
Oh.
I look over there, they're 8-inch action figures from NACA, NACA, I think it's the company. And they had, which is funny, they had 3 Wolfmans, different color boxes and stuff. Another Wolfman, they had King Kong, and I forgot which is the one. Oh my gosh, I never bought that. It's something with like a phantom. Looks like the Phantom of the Opera, but I forgot the name of the thing right now. But anyway, they had the Frankenstein was the only one that was left, right? So I wind up grabbing all 7 figures. When
Oh
I go
wow.
up, I thought they were like $14. When I go up, they were $35 a piece.
Holy smokes.
So I'm like, oh my God. So I go ahead and I got to take it for now because, if I have to change it, I'll exchange it. So I quietly put it in back of my car so nobody would see, my trunk. My wife goes shopping for 3 days, and I go, "Oh my God, I left the things." It was $280. So I'm like, if she sees that, she's gonna flip out, So I was like, luckily last night she dropped me off the storage, and I'm dropping off thing, and I go open the trunk and I grab the bags quickly, put them in the thing, and I wheeled them upstairs. And imagine if she'll kill me. Because the
Oh
thing is,
man.
I already have enough. But let me tell you, Joe, you've probably seen the action figures. They're really phenomenal. The Frankenstein has 3 heads. I think I bought the 2 King Kong versions they had because it's the same action figure, but the box artwork is different. And I just bought it on the spite of the moment. Now, I know in the forum, I'm trying to see if I have a picture here to see what company made it. I think it was NACA. I'm kind of
Yeah,
looking.
NECA made those. Yeah, they did
Okay.
a Wolfman, a Mummy, and they did 2 Frankensteins, a black and white one and a color one. And I
Yeah, I
believe
got the color one. Yeah.
I believe they have plans to do a Dracula and a creature here in the future, but they're releasing them, every so often. They didn't do like a mass release on them.
Well, you know something? I was filming Chiller as I was going around Chiller, and I noticed that in the Chiller, I noticed that, and you can see it in one of the videos if I posted. I saw one of the figures, the Frankenstein. They were selling for $54. So that means they're already, so I got it 35. I got it at the retail cost. But the thing is, it's really, really nice. It has 3 heads that you can interchange the heads, and it looks like Boris Karloff.
Yeah, somebody was
It's really
definitely driving the price up on that because I've seen them all at the stores for anywhere for like $30-$35 somewhere around there. So
well,
whoever's got
35.
them that much is really putting them higher than they should be.
Yeah, well, that's what I paid, 35. I was hoping it would have been a little cheaper. My daughter told me that online they were going for I think 32, and I'm like, if it's that, I got to take them to, but I'm gonna have to now go to Target with them, and because Target was selling it online for less, so they would credit me the difference. The problem is I got to sneak them back in the car on the day my wife is not around because I don't want her to see I spend that because I know you're listening, but she will kill me. And I just don't want until whatever. But the thing is with the action figures and stuff is that it looked really cool, man. I kind of I just got it out of whatever. But one thing I got to tell you guys, they're making some really, really nice things out there. I know the Universal monsters, they've been introduced with so many different varieties and different ways, just like the films. And you usually buy them all because if you like Dracula, Frankenstein, they are pretty nice to own,
Oh, absolutely. Hey, Joe, did you see the one picture I put on the forum of the Fright Factory, the thing maker? That was my favorite toy. That is
Yeah,
just so cool, man. Oh,
yeah, that was really cool. I took a look at it, and someone had posted a link to one for sale on eBay for $2,800. So I put on there, if anyone's got an extra, $2,800, let me know.
wow. Yeah, that's a little bit overpriced, I think. But I tell you what, that's such a cool toy. And that's the one I had. It's actually marked on there. It's copyrighted, the one I have anyway, from 1966. But my parents bought it from me probably in about 67, maybe 68. I was about a 4-year-old kid. And you know what though? We used to play with that, my brother and I, for hours. That was just so much fun making all the different scary little creatures, the shrunken heads. It was just a lot of fun, man. Wow.
Oh yeah, I could imagine that thing looked really cool. And I've never seen one at any show or anything. So I don't know if that's like a rare item to find or what.
They
Yeah.
actually no. If you look, Norm, my buddy, the guy, he has one. I think it's on the show. He was asking 650 for it, I think.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
did
it's
come
a little
come
bit
out
more
with a more
reasonable.
modern one. They did come out with a more modern one that we bought for our kids when they were younger, probably about 20 years ago. Which I will take a picture of that sometime and put that on the forum as well. Okay, but this has added safety features. Okay, like the actual burner where you put the molds in. It's inside of like an oven, and there's a timer on there, and it won't open until it's completely cool. You know what I mean? Like the one I played with was really dangerous. You know what I mean? Like you could burn your hands, you could burn your face. It's just a lot different.
Isn't that kind of like the atomic lab? I was actually looking for that atomic lab because when I found out it actually had radiation on the ship, I kind of want to get rid of it.
Yeah,
And
probably got.
I'm going to have to take time, the next couple of weeks, open boxes and see what I got. And I know I got to get one because Mr. AKA King has been bothering me saying that I shouldn't yap and post. I bought the Moon Monster. Which you know what? It's like a 5-inch figure, and I bought it for, if I was correct, $45 in Chiller a couple of years ago when it came out. And I bought it because it was the Moon Monster. But then I was like, wow, this is a crappy little stupid toy. It's not really. It shouldn't be worth more than $10, to be honest with you. And I have it somewhere. But then he posted. He found it. He's like, hey Eddie, maybe you would like this, and I'm like, I got it a long time ago. So then Mr. AKA Todd comes back and says, well, we're going to have to hold Mr. Guevara there to the T. Instead of I lost it, I can't find it. You better post it if you got it,
Yeah.
So I got to find it, man. And it's really hard, though, honestly, when you look at the amount of stuff I've collected and it really kind of like got me a little aggravated with myself that I have. I mean, I understand, but to have to get 5 10x10 storages and a 15x15
Oh my
just to
goodness.
put this, that's a little bit too much, I think,
You're not kidding.
6 years ago when I went to my daughter's house, it was 2 truckloads and a half, and a couple of, van loads, whatever. Now, 5 truckloads, 10, with today's going to be 11 CRTs filled. And now I have to get a van tomorrow as well. That's
Yeah.
just, I think it needs, I need to sell. I need to, and I was thinking of having, just like Chuck's Corner, I was thinking of having Eddie's weekly sale corner just to sell those things that I have.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and I would definitely need to get rid of things I don't really care. Like for example, I'm looking right now in front of me. I have a cast iron clown from the 1920s bank. Okay, that's fine. But do I collect clowns from the 1920s cast iron bank? No. I just have it here. I have about 10, 15 of them. The reason I bought this, and there's a reason behind everything we do in life is, Joe, when I was a kid and even growing up, I remember seeing the Haunted House Mystery Bag house, and it always said it had a hen coming out to the door. I've been searching for that particular version for over 30-something years, and in it, I bought every monster bank, every hand bank. I got the Ghoul's finger bank. If you look at, everybody knows it's called creepy or greedy fingers, the coffin bank. I have
Yeah.
11 different variations of that bank. 11. And
Wow.
many of them redouble. And I know I promised Joe an original tin one, which I have about 4 left because I had like 5 or 6, and I think I sent one to Todd. I don't remember. But I'm going to basically try to find to get him one because he was crying that he was going to buy one and it was $100 and, the guy wouldn't. So I said, Joe, no
The
need to
guy wouldn't
cry.
budge.
The guy wouldn't budge.
Yeah. And so basically I said I'd probably get one to him, and this way he can tell the wife Eddie sent it to me. I didn't buy it.
Oh, there you go.
And he still charged me. He charged me double for this and made me pay it. Said
Yeah,
he's
but-
holding Chuck and his wife Sherry hostage until I paid this double price.
But collecting is fun, but sometimes collecting can be overwhelming. And when you have to, like, I could see, okay, you have a 10 by 10 foot storage, you got a couple of great items and expensive items, that's fine. But when you, like, right now, say if I want to move to Pennsylvania or something, how the hell am I going to move my entire stuff? I'm going to need a tractor trailer just to move my collection. I think that's a little bit far-fetched. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Although moving it out of storage where you put it on a bin and you go load it in a truck is one thing, but moving it out of my daughter's house, taking it up, that's a killer, man. Going from the basement upstairs, never again.
Wow.
So I'm just telling you guys that collecting is fine, and I know that wasn't it Sherry? Didn't one time you threaten Chuck that you were gonna put him in the guillotine he had in the living room?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
he had enough magic in all the other rooms. I said,
So
just
head
leave
chopper.
leave my living room alone, untainted.
Yeah, but
And
all
I
you
see
have
a
to do
head
is
chopper. Yeah, I see a head chopper behind the chair. I said, this got to go. Did you sell it?
Yeah, I did. I
Yeah,
understand.
he ended up selling it.
Yeah.
But it
yeah,
was fun.
he goes to me, Eddie, don't say nothing, but you threatened to put me on it. She was gonna chop my head.
Yeah, it was getting out of hand, and it scared kids a lot. When I used that, like in
Yeah.
schools and everything, a lot of kids were trembling. I chop a kid's head off, and it was,
That wasn't it. That's not
yeah,
just chop an arm off.
yeah. I just chop an arm off.
That's
No, that's
better.
enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
and it's funny because I was trying to get one. Another thing, even David said to me, Eddie, why are you buying all this magic stuff? And I go, I started buying a bunch of just buying magic because I always loved magic. And I started doing magic when I was like maybe, I don't know, 15, 16, and I was getting good at it. And I bought that deluxe TV magic set that was supposed to be, I got it when I was younger. And I started doing the deluxe one, the $100 one. Remember from the day, Joe?
Yeah, that's
the
a nice
big
one.
black box. Well, so I had that, and my brother was born. Right now, I'm already 15 at the time, and I've had this for like 10 years in mint condition. I kept working with the tricks. I knew how to do all of them. My brother comes one day. I go into my bedroom, and my brother is about 3-4 years old. He's on top of the bed. He's got the toy open, and everything's all over the place. I got, that I gave up on magic from that day. Like I just got disgusted and I never did it again. Like I didn't care. I wanted to clobber my brother. My mom is like, no, you can't. I was like, ooh, I wanted to hit him. But the thing is that he just, so ever since I've had a liking for magic. I love watching magic. I love to see how it's done. Even though I know how it's done, I still love to watch it. But one thing about it though, me actually doing it, I kind of didn't really do it after that,
Yeah, sure.
And that could have been, that's when I probably, because I was going to get a head chopper one time. I was looking at a 6-foot guillotine.
There you go.
They were selling it for $375. It was a real one. I mean, the one they had on one magician was using, and they had it on eBay, and they would send it. The shipping was like $120 or something like that because.
Oh yeah, they're pretty heavy. Yeah, they're pretty heavy.
But I was actually going to purchase it. And now I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with a guillotine? It's not like I'm going to use it.
Well, hey guys, I hate to jump in here, but we are down to about the last minute and 20 seconds, so we're going to wrap things up here. And I want to thank Chuck, Sherry, and Eddie for joining us today. and everybody out there too for joining us and listening. We are on every single week. So find us on your favorite podcast platform, subscribe to our channel, give us a great review because that does help us. Also, check out our YouTube channel, House of the Unusual. Subscribe to it, like our videos. There's currently 139 videos up there and more on the way. There's some premieres that are ready to go, and Eddie and Chuck are putting out videos every single week, so definitely check that out. Also, check us out on houseoftheunusual.com. We have a free forum site there. Why aren't you on there? And if you are, thank you for being on there. There's some great stuff going on. People are putting up some pictures of their collections and stuff, and there's some really cool items up there. Like we were just talking about Chuck's pamphlets and all that, and the toys that he's put up and that I've put up, and Eddie and everybody else. So definitely check that out. And hey, guys, that's all that we got for this week. So once again, thank you to everybody out there who's listening, and see you next week. Good night.
Good night. God bless, and good night, buddy.
Good night.